This is Lauren Burke. This is Lauren Live. Yeah, the stock market is diving and the gas prices are rising. What a surprise when we have a situation where Donald Trump actually sent his vice president, J.D. Vance, who's a universal failure on the world stage. Every time you send him someplace, it's a gigantic fail. His latest gigantic fail, thankfully, is that the right person was elected in Hungary. But at any rate, the other fail, of course, was his quote negotiations in Pakistan with regard to the Iran war. That went so well that the war continues, and now there's a blockade. And now the oil prices are going up, and the stock market is going down. Oh, wow. It's April 13, April 13, 2 days before tax day, April 13, 2026. And I think we can look forward to some gas prices all throughout the summer. I don't see anything that's going to change that. And let's discuss some of the late reporting on the oil barrel prices, which are going up above $100 this morning, is what the reporting says. I'll be back in a second. Okay, the gas prices, the oil prices, the stock market situation that is getting worse because Donald Trump is starting to make decisions that are more aggressive because all of a sudden he's figured out that the folks in the Middle East are not just going to do what you say because you come over there and kill their leader and then decide you want to have a war and then decide you want to control the oil going through the Strait of Hormuz. That's not how it works for them. They don't care about what you think, and now they're going to make things difficult for the American consumer when it comes to gas prices. And that's exactly that's exactly what they're doing. They're making it difficult for the American oil consumer because they know what the pain points are, and the main pain point in the United States is to make the gas prices higher. They know that that's going to have a bad effect on U.S. industries, particularly transportation, and of course, food cost goes up, which this was already not that great, and now you have this unforced error of getting involved in the Iran war. Not sure what the plan was for this. I don't think anybody was sure what the plan was for this, but Donald Trump finds himself in a situation where, you know, I'm going to get more aggressive and I'm going to talk tough and I'm going to send messages on social media. They don't care about that. They're sending out messages on social media featuring Lego pieces that are 5,000 times more effective than anything Donald Trump is saying. And what they're doing is they're taking action to make the Strait of Hormuz impassable to certain countries to make their gas prices go up. What did you think they were going to do? They're going to play the card that they can play, and it's a huge card.
I'm Andy Mack. We're following the latest developments out of the Middle East after the failed negotiations between the United States and Iran. President Trump saying there will be immediate blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, that so very vital energy choke point. And earlier on today, he's talking about some of the potentially surge of gas prices, as you can see here from Katie Rogers, New York Times, saying on Fox, President Trump was asked if gas and oil prices might be lower by the midterm elections. President Trump says, I think so. It could be the same or maybe a little bit higher. It should be around the same. That after the blockade coming down from the president saying that they are going to close down the Strait of Hormuz due to these failed negotiations, saying the U.S. Navy will begin the process and any ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. Let's discuss this here on Live Now from Fox. Chief Energy Advisor at Gulf Oil, friend of the program, Tom Clausa. Tom, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And we expected oil to go up following this announcement. Where do we stand right now?
We're up by about $8 to $9. There's limited liquidity, but the Asian buyers are back in, and we're looking at 10 to 20 cent increases for refined products, gasoline and diesel.
And obviously, this is potentially expected as there.
Yeah. So everybody hear that? Now all of a sudden, the $4 average for the gas prices, which was already ridiculous, is now expected to go up 20 and 30 cents. In Virginia, where I'm at in Northern Virginia, I found a gas station. I think it was a Hess gas station in Arlington, Virginia, that was at $4.20 per gallon. That was completely unsurprising. Completely unsurprising. And now add another 20 cents onto that in about a week or so, maybe less than a week. I don't know. Maybe you're looking at $4.40. So now we're starting to get near $5 gas. I actually think that $5 gas is the breaking point outside, of course, California and these places that have already had $5 gas. Okay, $5 gas is now featured in California, but I'm talking about some of these other places around the country that are not used to this idea of $4 or $5 gas. Now you're starting to get in the way of certain industries that rely on transportation and fuel costs, including Uber and obviously anything delivery with a car is now problematic. Now, a lot of the Uber drivers or a lot of the delivery drivers for DoorDash, etc., they tend to use scooters and smaller vehicles, motorcycles, scooters, etc. But this policy that Donald Trump has now unleashed of, oh, hey, let's have a blockade and talk tough, is going to mean more money coming out of the pockets of Americans. Simple as that.
There will be limited movement, even less so than we saw over the last month plus of what's going on. Is this what we could expect? And if there's a prolonged stoppage, a prolonged blockage, how might that impact?
Well, that's really the question. We haven't dealt with blockades in a while, and it could be that the blockade actually leads to some sort of a result which is very palatable for the Western countries. But right now, the thought is that we're not going to be seeing that minimal sort of exiting of the Persian Gulf. So crude oil is going to move higher. It's been physically around $120 or higher for a while. And we're probably looking at, that little retreat in gas prices and diesel prices we saw at the end of last week. It's probably more of an interregnum.
I don't know what retreat he's talking about. It may have gone down a little bit with the gas prices. And if I'm a propagandist, JJ Love, then tell me what your gas prices are. Where are you? Unless you drive an electric car. Maybe you don't care because you drive an electric car, which, by the way, is Democratic policy, clean energy. At any rate, tell me what you're paying in gas, and tell me if you're happy about the economy right now, and tell me what you would be saying if Joe Biden or Barack Obama was president. I, on the other hand, would be saying the same thing if Joe Biden and Barack Obama was president. When the gas price got at $4 with Joe Biden, I wasn't happy about it then. I wish I had had a show like this then. I would have said that then. I'd say the exact same thing I'm saying now with Donald Trump. This was a war of choice that the United States is paying over $1 billion a day for, by the way. So one has to wonder and one has to ask the question, and you can call it propaganda if you like. This is just factual questions. Why? Why are we doing this? Why is there a foreign policy that's pursuing something that's hurting the American people in the United States? And by the way, where's America first? Why isn't the American public, the American citizens, the first priority in any policy pursuit? That should have been the first priority, not what's going on in Iran, the Middle East. But if you think what's going on in Iran, the Middle East is more important than what's going on in the United States, okay, you have the right to that opinion. I don't. I don't think what's going on over there is what is more important than what goes on over here. I think over here should be a priority if you were elected the president of the United States. So that's what I would say to that. But again, what gas prices are you paying? Coal blessed. What gas prices are you paying where you are? You know, you be on whatever, you can say whatever you want. You can use all the Fox talking points you like. What are you paying in gasoline right now? And is it affordable? Or maybe you're a multimillionaire and it doesn't matter and it's all good. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is where I am in Virginia, in a very affluent part of the United States, okay, Arlington, where people actually do have the resources to pay $4 and $5 gas. The fact that they have the resources, $2.55 is great, Cole. Cold blast, that is actually a really good price. $2.55 is really good. At any rate, that price, the average price in the United States right now is $4. And now we have the stock market diving this morning, April 13, it is 8 a.m. So now we have the markets diving this morning. And now we have the oil barrel prices going up because of the announcement over the weekend from President Trump that he was going to blockade the Strait of Hormuz using the United States military to the tune of almost $2 billion a day. Now, if that's something that you think is a great idea, okay, you know, but I don't know. I don't think it's a great idea because it gets the eye off the ball of what's happening in the United States, our economy and our government. Let's hear this Fox News interview. Let's see what's going on. I think the president had a Fox News interview last night. Let's hear from him directly.
Fox's Maria Bartiromo not to ask questions that she doesn't want the answer to.
Yeah. Do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be or the same, or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same.
I want you to take a look at Bartiromo's face the moment Trump says gas prices will be higher. Probably because gas prices reached an all-time high in 2022, and national averages right now are 8 cents away from that, which will mean that Donald Trump will likely be the president to preside over the highest gas prices in American history, which would be bad enough unto itself, but worse given the fact that Trump campaigned expressly on this issue, saying stuff like this on a near daily basis.
I think gasoline's going to be below $2.
Gasoline's going to be below $2. So, Maria Bartiromo had President Trump on last night talking about this situation, obviously in Iran, the gas prices, how the American economy would be impacted, and he gave some very interesting answers. She went right to the politics of, will the gas prices be lower by the midterm elections, which of course in November. I'm not saying that that question is not important, but really I could care less about. In this moment, I could care less about what happens in November. I'm trying to figure out what happens in between during the summer, and will the gas prices go over $5 over the summer? And the idea that the biggest talking point that they had was that Joe Biden's gas prices were higher. That's about to change, probably in another week, maybe even less than a week, because of course, what's going on, Jersey Mike? I love that handle. Jersey Mike's is a great place. At any rate, the thing is, the average gas price under Biden was into the $4 range, and I hated that then, and I'm hating now, knowing that Donald Trump is about to break the record that Joe Biden had for the highest average gas price of any president in American history. That is bad news. And it's bad news whether the president is Republican and Democrat. And people need to stop listening to Fox News with this tribal nonsense of Democrat and Republican. At the end of the day, people want results. And it used to be, I guess that's changed. I don't think we're great yet, Avi. I don't think we're great yet. That it used to be that people cared about what the results were and didn't care about what the party was. Now we're so obsessed with what political party and Donald Trump that we're not even paying attention to what the results are. Give me a break. We're looking for results that make a difference in the pocketbook and the bank accounts of Americans and our lives and the people who live in the United States, not everybody else around the world. Instead, what we're hearing about is what millionaires and billionaires are doing, what their ideas are. Who gives a damn? Most of this country is middle class, and most of this country is rural America. How is rural America doing is the question. Friend Zone Millionaire, how are you doing? I've been waiting 6 weeks for this fool to crash the market. He's going to do it on his way out the door. I actually think he's going to crash more in the market. The market is terrible. It's going to be terrible in the beginning. Now, it might come up at the end. He likes to play market games. Donald Trump is really good at making some statement, that makes the market fluctuate. He's become really good at that. And they're not really catching on to it. Like, he'll say something like, hey, the war is about to end, or I'm about to do this, or we're about to have a peace talk, or whatever, and the market goes up. Maybe he does that today. I'm actually hoping he does do it today, because it's going to start out low, but that doesn't mean it ends low. That doesn't mean the market ends low, because he could make a statement around 4 o'clock about the time the market closes and change the number. And the number, now the trading is up. Like, so that would be great if he does do that. At any rate, the gas prices and the oil prices are going up, and the reporting on this is going to be harder during the summer. Obviously, people move around more during the summer. People are on summer vacation. They're doing all sorts of things with their families, and summer vacation is summer vacation. You pay for the. Yes, Levi, you do play for the red states if you live in a blue state. I'm from a blue state, and I'm in sort of a purple state, Virginia, but I'm from the blue state, New York. And yeah, the blue states pay for the red states, something that the reporting at Fox doesn't want to admit. It's a very good point there. That looks like some New York Knicks in that photo there, in that avatar. You want to educate me on that? Because I don't know too much about basketball, but if the jersey says New York, I'll root for that team. At any rate, so the gas prices in the United States for Americans are going up. Again, what happened to America first? Tell me what happened. All of you MAGA folks out there in the chat, what happened to America first? What happened to that? That is what Donald Trump campaigned on. Where is that? What's going on? Why are we sitting here talking about foreign policy every day on the news and not even paying any attention to what goes on here in terms of the economy? And I don't give a damn who the president is. The results are what matters, no matter who the president is. And I actually think that if Donald Trump concentrated more in the United States and stopped doing what Benjamin Netanyahu wants him to do, then the economy would improve. But for some reason, he's obsessed about America last is right. He's obsessed about what Benjamin Netanyahu wants to do. I mean, so what happened to America first? What happened to all that talk in 2024? That's what Donald Trump ran on, the idea that the American people would be the priority. And now we're looking at $4.50 for gas per gallon. I'm telling you, the breaking point is going to be $5. That is when people are going to lose it. I think they're already losing it now, but I'm telling you, when that thing hits $5.5 mark, you're going to feel it like crazy, So anybody paying less than that, congratulations, particularly if you're under $3. If you're under $4, I know that where I am, it's about at $4. There's a few stations under $4, $3.50, $3.90 something. $3.50 looks like a bargain, absolute bargain. But at any rate, in California, of course, there's a different thing going on because they have policy there that's made it more expensive for everybody, which that's crazy. But that's what's happening there. Oh, it has nothing to do with the gas prices. Oh, really? Really, Valencia? He has nothing to do with the gas prices. He just declared a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. He has a lot to do with the gas prices. He's got our U.S. military ships. I think the blockade started already. I got to check that. I don't know if it started already, but he's got our U.S. military ships about to blockade the very location that has a big impact on the price of gas in the United States and all around the world. So don't tell me this nonsense about he doesn't have anything to do with gas prices. He has a lot to do with gas prices. You come into another country and you kill their leader and you start throwing bombs, that is going to be something when that country has a hand in oil production, that is going to affect the economy in the United States. And that's exactly what it's doing. That's exactly what's happening. So yeah, Trump he ordinarily wouldn't have anything to do with the gas prices, but for the fact that he's now involved himself in it. Like I said, it's an unforced error. He sends JD Vance over the weekend to Pakistan to negotiate a peace agreement with Iran. It didn't work because every time you send JD Vance to something, it's a disaster. I'm surprised Trump didn't go himself, but it didn't work and it was a disaster. And now we're looking at this morning's news that all the prices for the barrels of oil is going up over $100. I think it was already over 100, but it might have been 99. At any rate, it's up. And now we're looking at, and good morning, good morning, Hamdi Bouya. Yeah, I need a pronunciation. I'm not too good. When you're from New York, you need to, Kushner. He did send Kushner. He did send Kushner and Witkoff to negotiate, which is really interesting. That's all private money being made. Kushner making billions of dollars, and anything goes with the Trump administration. Can you imagine if Joe Biden sent Hunter Biden into a negotiation for anything? What would be happening on Fox News? Come on, man. Let's stop it with the nonsense that this guy is doing stuff above board. It's absolute open corruption in front of everybody's face.
At some point in the pretty near future, it's very low, much lower than it was under Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, something tells me that Sleepy Joe Biden won't look too sleepy after Americans see their fuel bills in the coming months. But that was actually a high point during this interview with Maria Bartiromo, because he went off the deep end saying this.
Doing well at all. They're getting killed. I could take out Iran in one day. I could take down in 1 hour. I could have their entire energy, everything, every one of their plants, their electric generating plants, which is a big deal. And I hate to do it because if I do it, it takes you 10 years to rebuild. They'll never be able to rebuild it.
Yeah, so let's listen to some of this foreign policy. Again, the fact that we're even talking about this and not talking about some of the priorities in the United States is highly problematic. The fact that we're putting all this energy into other countries, into what they're doing, into what their, economy is and all this other stuff. I mean, give me a break. The idea that we're talking so much about everything else except how things are going in the United States in itself, to me, is problematic. Once you take your eye off the ball of the country that you lead, you should have priority over, that your decisions impact, there's a problem. And everything right now for the last, 6 weeks has been talking about Iran this and Iran that. It's been the lead on everything. We're talking about foreign policy. We're talking about what's going on in the Middle East. That's the priority right now. And that right there is problematic. And you get into the details. Now we're talking about blockades and the oil barrel price going up. And of course, the gas prices at the pump for all Americans going up. That right there is problematic. So, this is to me a situation where at first I thought, and of course, I'm like, I have no problem admitting that I was wrong. I thought that Trump would go into the Middle East, okay, we bomb him a little bit, and then he comes back and pulls out of Iran, pulls out of the Middle East. I figured that's how he would do it, because Trump is so erratic in terms of like what he does. Sometimes he's interested in something, sometimes he's not. And I figured the minute that he saw the gas prices going up, I figured, okay, that is what is going to make him pull and also his poll numbers going down. That's what's going to change foreign policy. And now we're going to go back to concentrating on what goes on in the United States. I was wrong. I was big wrong. And here we are on week 7. Week 7. Taco Tuesday, but please give me Taco Tuesday. Week 7 of this Iran war. Are you kidding me? I mean, I never thought we'd make it to week 7. And particularly when the gas prices started near $4, I figured, okay, he's going to figure it out. He's going to figure out this is a disaster. His folks in the White House are going to figure out this is a disaster, and they're going to pull our troops back. The thing that got me worried, and it turns out that was, a big clue hint that this wasn't going to be easy and fast, is when they sent the 82nd Airborne in, and we had pictures of that. We had confirmation that the 82nd Airborne, and then we have our military ships, aircraft carriers, et cetera, and so on moving in there. That was a really bad scene and continues to be. And it is impacting the U.S. economy. And what happened to America first? What happened to America first? What's going on? That we're putting all this energy and concentration on everything except the United States and what goes on in the United States economy. I mean, it's unbelievable. Billion spent. Yeah. So Patch, there is a ticker, a clock, a website that calculates the cost of the war in Iran. to the United States economy. There's also reporting, and we'll find out in another week, April 21, apparently the Trump administration is going to ask Congress for $1.5 trillion effectively for the war. Now, the way they're going to try to say it is, oh, this is just a Department of Defense budget, but it would be a record amount of money, 1.5 trillion. We'll see when that happens. It's supposed to happen on April 21. So when we get there, if that's true, if that's accurate, I'll talk about it. I'm an Englishman. I'm not even American. Biden spent money to like what? Yeah, Dale, he spent money. He spent money. And again, Trump is still not past the Biden record in terms of high gas prices. We're getting there, though. We're, I think, 10 cents away from the average. Trump hit the $4 average. Biden has had an average. His highest gas price was like $4.10, something like. Trump is almost certain to break the Biden gas price record, the record for the highest gas price during the presidency, which happened for Biden in 2022. I don't think Trump has passed that yet. He's getting close. He's about 10 cents away, and it seems like with this blockade news, he's definitely going to pass it. Yeah, that's the whole thing. So, Standurko. Yeah, no money for anything other than nonsense happening someplace else in some other country. Give me a break. I mean, can somebody concentrate on the United States and what goes on with citizens in the United States and what's going on in their bank accounts and what money could be going in and coming out? And yeah, somebody mentioned in the chat about the $7,000 stimulus. There was a mention of that. I thought during the campaign, I got to go back and find that. There was a stimulus check announcement. And you would think when you're spending almost $2 billion a day on a war in another country that a stimulus check in the United States would actually be possible. Of course, Biden did a few of them. I think Trump did some as well in his first term. Let's see if they go back to that. That money goes right back into the economy. Mike, how you doing? $6.99. Wow. Whew. Man, that is incredible, man. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Yeah, the tariff issue was a disaster. The tariff issue was a huge disaster. But I have a hard time believing that this could continue. Again, the closer we get to $5, the more you're going to see, particularly with these trucking companies, they're going to start going down. They're going to start going out of business. Go back to
and the other thing you take out of the
Brian Tyler. This is from Brian Tyler Cohen.
bridges. I took out one just to show them because they went public with a statement that wasn't true. They admitted it. I say, I'm going to take out a bridge. And I took out a bridge. And that was the end of that. Now they've been really behaving quite well. But in one half of a day, they wouldn't have one bridge standing. They wouldn't have one electric generating plant standing. And they're back in the Stone Ages. I'd rather not do that. But I do believe they're going to come to the table on this because nobody can be so stupid as to say that we want to have nuclear weapons and they have no cards. They have no cards whatsoever.
Oh, nothing. Just the president of the United States threatening nuclear war again against Iran.
Yeah, there's actually a real concern that this thing could go nuclear. Would not surprise me. Would not surprise me because this has become really a dangerous situation.
Now it's time to say no, absolutely not. And say it directly to the president, no. In case you're thinking about using some weapon of mass destruction against the population of Iran, in whose name we liberated Iran, we killed their religious leader for their benefit. Do you remember that? This was last month. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say no.
Yeah, and are they saying that? Who's he listening to? We did get a report, I believe it was the New York Times, that gave us a window into these decisions. And apparently Benjamin Netanyahu was in the Situation Room in the White House during one of his many visits to the United States. And that, friends, was quite something to learn. Who is he listening to? He appears to be listening to Benjamin Netanyahu. I think that's pretty clear at this point. Is he listening to anybody else in there? Pete Hegseth, who is not qualified for the job that he's in? I don't know. I don't know who he's listening to, but this is a increasingly scary situation. I want to thank everybody for joining and listening. There's about 2,000 people who've passed through this morning. And once again, this video is about how much will Trump's blockade in Iran spike U.S. gas prices. How much will Trump's blockade in Iran spike U.S. gas prices? That is the question. And this morning we have seen the stock market dive, and we're seeing, or the markets around the globe dive. And again, we don't know how the market closes in the United States. We know how it starts. It will start low. Doesn't mean it'll end low, though. Doesn't mean it'll end low, but it will start low. Also, we're seeing the price of barrels of oil go up. And Jimmy White, you're correct. Food prices at grocery stores are not coming down. Now the grocers are are gouging food prices. Yeah, Jimmy. Yes. Yeah. And this is the thing. The cascading effects of the oil prices going up cannot be denied. All right. And Nicole, tell me why you love Mr. Trump. You love paying $4 gas? I want to know that. I want to know, Nicole, why? Why do you love this situation? Because whether this is Biden or Trump, remember, Biden did have a $4 average gas price in 2022. Trump is about to pass that. So this is getting worse. Okay. This is getting worse. Patch. That's funny, Patch. So Friend Zone Millionaire, I see you. Mike, I see you. Friend Zone Millionaire. La Jolla County. Okay, wait a second. La Jolla County Day High. Tucker Carlson. Yeah. Since that's with the America. Yeah. Tucker Carlson, of course, is another child of privilege that we have to deal with, right along with Stephen Miller and so many others who these children of privilege are unbelievable. They whine harder than anybody. The people who grow up middle class and lower middle class, they fight for everything they've got, and they don't whine. They just get it done. And these people who were born on third base and think that they hit a triple are an absolute trip. But I will admit, as much as I'm not a Tucker Carlson fan, from time to time he does make some good points. And he's making some very good points lately about Donald Trump, to my surprise. People might want to know in the background that the numbers, the viewership for the right wingers is going down. For Tucker Carlson, for Ben Shapiro, for Mr. Beast, he's not a right winger, but it's interesting. YouTube has some stuff going on where all those numbers are going down. Now, for Mr. Beast, this guy is getting millions and millions and millions of people per video. So going down is relative. He's not going to be hurting anytime soon. He goes from 200 million to 100 million. Everybody notices, but Tucker Carlson's numbers are going down. There's some theorizing behind that with regard to whether or not that means anything for the MAGA right and the lack of support. Or maybe it means nothing. Maybe it's just that YouTube is changing algorithms and it doesn't mean anything about Donald Trump. So that's hard to figure out until you get a little distance on it. And we haven't gotten a little distance on it. You think, Nicole, that the last administration did nothing to fix anything? Well, I think that the Democrats are good at healthcare and protecting social safety net programs codified under FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I think the Democrats are bad at other things, but they're pretty good when it comes to protecting health care. That's something that Republicans are always trying to dismantle. But maybe that's something that's not a priority in your life. Maybe you're getting your health care through your job, so it's not something you would notice one way or the other. Trump and MAGA are a cult and a mental health care crisis. Okay. Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting. Yes, well, that's interesting. Nicole. So Nicole, I get it. I mean, there's a lot of people hurting out there, no matter who the president is. And so maybe it doesn't matter. But Jimmy White, you're right about the food prices and the correlating effects. The correlating effects have been terrible. And Jesus, I mean, when does it end is the question. When does this end? Now you got a blockade going. So we're in full-blown war in week 7 of this conflict.
I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this because this is insane. And if given the order, I'm not carrying it out. Figure out the codes on the football yourself.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I am sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Can't he just behave like a normal human? I mean, honestly, like the president, 3D, yes, shut up. Fucking shut up about that shit. You don't threaten to wipe out an entire civilization. We're talking about civilians just casually in a social media post.
I don't know when Megyn Kelly figured all this out. I mean, Donald Trump has been this way now for 10 years. So I say, well, like, when did these people figure out this was going on?
How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment is harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
So what do we do?
Tackle Trump and pretend, let him pretend he's president and publicly report that he's going through a health issue and Vance take over.
Yikes. Talking about the 25th Amendment on right-wing media. Dawn Horton, good morning. That is unbelievable, 25th Amendment. There is open talk in Congress about the 25th Amendment now. Now, I don't know that they're going to do it. They do need the 2/3, as the gentleman just said. So it's hard. It would be hard to get Trump out of office. People may already know he was twice impeached. And I just don't see it happening. It's just, but some of these decisions have made it out in the open, that there's some feeling back there that we'd be better off with J.D. Vance as the president, which, man, it's bad when you're saying that. My wife is a pricing specialist at a major grocery corporation in the United States. They're 100% taking advantage of the situation. Of course they are. 100% don't have any problem squeezing prices higher. Of course they're going to do that, because that's what this is. So all about making more and more and more money. And of course, that's what the deal is. That does. Jimmy, thanks for sharing that. And, I'm in a place where people do have a lot of disposable income. This is the Washington, D.C. area, Arlington, Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia. Loudoun is like the richest county in the United States, with a bunch of technology, data center type stuff. And Arlington, Virginia is mostly people, pensions, and federal employees that do have a lot of disposable income. So there's a lot of Whole Food stores that are very expensive. There's Harris Teeter is not wildly expensive, but it's out there is the other thing that people like to go to. It's not exactly the most affordable thing in the world. And I think that there's definitely going to be some price gouging before we know it. No question about that. It doesn't surprise anybody that these corporations take advantage of the situation. Stop listening to the same people who told you to vote for Trump. We need to vote for people who tax the rich. We need to vote for people who actually make decisions that are good for United States citizens and not good for everybody else around the world. That's what we need, Democrat or Republican. We need people who actually care about the United States first, above all else, right? The citizens that elected that person. How about that for an idea? I mean, that could be a Democrat or a Republican. But I actually thought that Trump was going to be a lot more laser focused on the American people than anything else. And man, were we wrong about that one. Boy, that was...
It literally needs to be something like that. It's that bad.
Yeah, apparently the lesson Trump took was to lean in on genocide, just in case anyone missed his lunacy the first go around. And what's worse is...
This is Brian Todd going giving some commentary in between some of what's being said on the screen. And I got to tell you that this is a very scary situation in the Middle East, where you have Donald Trump listening to Benjamin Netanyahu. You got to be kidding me. Now, this is 22 minutes ago, the Today Show did a report on the oil prices surging after Trump announced the blockade. Let's see what they've got to say over there.
The president's announced blockade is already rattling the economy. Oil prices climbing back above $100 a barrel overnight. NBC's senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us now. Christine, people are already pulling up to the pump and just saying how high the prices are. So are they going to stay this way until this thing gets resolved?
Oil prices surging again overnight. Remember last week, the talk of a 2-week ceasefire had oil prices coming down and had gasoline prices, what you pay at the pump, leveling off. And now we're back where we started. You've got oil prices surging here again, back above $100 a barrel. And you've got gas prices over the weekend, last night about $4.12. The president on Fox Business said he acknowledged that gas prices could stay here elevated, or maybe even go up a little bit heading into the midterms because of what he's trying to do with Iran. The Strait of Hormuz, you're not seeing ships move through there. This is a super highway of really important commodities for the global economy.
Yeah, so the oil prices are going up, and how much will Trump's blockade and Iran spike U.S. gas prices is the topic this morning, one of the topics. The next video I'll do in is about 15 minutes will be on the situation in the California governor's race where Congressman Eric Swalwell dropped out. I'll be covering Capitol Hill in the U.S. Capitol this week. I'll be in the Capitol. Oil prices and the economy will be another topic. I'll be covering the U.S. Capitol this week, but I will do a specific video on Eric Swalwell after this. Dawn, I am seeing gas near between 4 and 3. Yeah, Austin, Texas, great town. Austin, yeah, wow, 380. That's around here in Arlington, Virginia. It's like you can do a 390. I think the lowest I've seen is 390. Certainly nothing below that. A few of these outliers. I don't know what it is with Shell Gas, but Shell Gas is always at always 20 cents higher than everybody else. Talk about price gouging. I don't know what they're doing, but they're always at 20 cents higher than everyone else. And now we're expected to do another 20 cents on top of that. By the end of the week, the oil prices have gone up because of the president's announcement about the Strait of Hormuz and a blockade. And that is going to be spectacularly bad. Okay, Standurko. Standurko. 429 in Northeast Pennsylvania. Whew, man. Man, that is just wow. That to me, 429, you just, if you add another 20 cents and you get to 450, it just gets into that realm of thinking this could hit $5. I mean, I never thought we'd get on the East Coast $5. Now I know California would get there because they got there almost immediately, but man, it's $5 in other places in the country on the East Coast. That's I did notice that YouTube raised their premium membership. Everybody out there, if anybody has a premium membership, Jim Keogh, yeah, I did notice that. I got an email from YouTube. The premium membership is now effectively $16. Like everybody's just like on the gouge. God, Damien, how you doing? I mean, I'm sorry, Damon Blissett, how you doing? I'll see you over at Don Lemon at 10 o'clock in the chat because I'm sure Don is going to be doing a lot of this. Kansas City 353. That's actually pretty good. Gosh, I wish I was in Kansas City. Because man, I talked to Emmanuel Cleaver about what's going on with the gas prices, how he's getting them so low, how he get it so low and where he is. YouTube did raise the premium prices. That is absolutely correct. And American wages don't go up. That's correct, Tom D. That is, it's the wages stay the same and the prices go up. That's exactly right. It's unbelievable. Again, this video is about how much Trump's blockade in Iran spike U.S. gas prices. We're seeing the price of oil, the barrels of oil go up this morning, and we're seeing the stock prices. The stock is going down. He never panics, Caprello, but is that a good thing? Is that a good thing that he never panics? What does that mean? Friend zone millionaire. Yeah, take care, everyone. Standurko, take care. So yeah, Trump better not win again. Trump 2028 better not. So he ain't going no place in 2020. His presidency is effectively going to be over if Congress flips, if both houses flip, because they're going to control the money decisions, and that's going to be in January 2027, unless he tries to steal the election, which of course he could try to do that. He's going to have trouble controlling Congress. He's going to have no control over Congress, I suspect, in another 7 months or so. So that could change policy in a big way. We are at almost 3,000 people who came through this conversation this morning about gas prices and whether or not the blockade announced by Donald Trump will spike prices in the United States. The answer is most assuredly yes. And the question is, by how much? By how much? We unlock nation. Yes, the stock market is down and I literally lost all my money. Oh, gosh. Well, this is the time to buy, people. Like, I've got money in the market. We all have money in the market. You have a 401k, which you should. And if you have a 401k, you should be maxing that out. I know that's hard for a lot of people, but you should be max that out because they're giving you free money. Not to give free money advice here. It's about gas prices, but I'm just telling you, this is a time to buy when the market crashes down. The time to buy is when the prices are low. So don't panic because it will go up. And the S&P is still the best bet in town. I think for the year, we are up 1%. We were down 7%. It corrected last week a little bit with some high stock days. But let's think about the fact that can't panic with the market is a long-term game and not a short-term game. And it's not day trading. Trump owes me money. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Trump does owe you money. And like I said, I do think we will get a stimulus check somewhere out of this. There will be a stimulus check. Trump did it the first time he was in office. Biden did it as well. And I suspect Trump will do it again with the stimulus check. Okay, so we've talked a little bit here about 45 minutes about whether or not the Trump blockade in Iran is going to spike U.S. gas prices. And of course, they're going to spike U.S. gas prices. Question is for how long? Somebody mentioned in the chat that yes, we're using the AC more over the summer. We're using energy more over the summer. That's absolutely correct. And that's going to be a big, big factor in this situation in terms of pricing. This morning, I think it was Good Morning America did a report on this in terms of the gas, the oil price, the oil barrel prices going up, which is the first step to the gas prices going up in the United States.
Just not seeing the ships go through. And now you've got the failure of these talks over the weekend and the president announcing this blockade, actually, of Iranian ports.
This is the Today Show. I think I said GMA. This is the Today Show. So at any rate, there will be no stimulus, Hamdi. I don't know. There might be. You'd be surprised. There might be. There might be a stimulus because there's been a stimulus now for for 3 presidents now. So Trump's presidency, was there a stimulus with Obama? I think there was. I don't know. It seems like there definitely was with Trump won, and there definitely was with Biden. So that's always something. Yeah, it's friend zone millionaire stimulus checks, nothing more than an advance on my time. Yeah, that's true. That is actually kind of feels like that a lot of times. What they should do is cancel the taxes. Cancel everybody's taxes. Cory Booker has a bill that nobody that makes under, I think it was 45,000 would pay taxes. I think right now that number is 15,000. If you make less than $15,000, you don't have to pay taxes. They should extend that. What they should do is extend that. But our tax money going overseas to everybody else has been brutal. Infrastructure stimulus. Yeah, maybe. Okay, Patch, Friend Zone, Mike, Damon, I'll see you over at Don Lemon probably. I'll see you over at Don Lemon. Don Lemon, that show is going to be loaded because there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to reset for the next video, which is going to be on Eric Swalwell in the California governor's race. That is going to be that's been a quite interesting story. Another Me Too situation. And man, I've got to tell you, due process in this country and the presumption of innocence is dead. There is no doubt about that. That's one thing that Me Too did achieve and killed due process and the presumption of innocence. I want to thank everybody for joining the. I see in my stats in the background here that about 3,000 people came through. A lot of people should be concerned about the gas prices, the economy, how it's impacting their bottom line. Is a very important question. And people need to be focused on that because this has got the look of something that isn't ending anytime soon. And Friend Zone, yeah, Obama sent out stimulus checks. I scanned mine in case there were those that would deny it. Yeah. So I have a feeling there will be. So the iron done with our tax law. Yeah, how about that, Jim? Yeah. Israel has free health care and America doesn't. Yet we subsidize their Iron Dome with our tax dollars. Yeah, I just, I'm telling you, I don't care what country it is. Our tax money should be used in the United States on people in the United States and making the United States better. Okay? Like that should be the goal. Please hit the like button, everybody. Please hit the like button. Thanks a lot. Yeah, that should be the goal. Not to be sitting around making sure that some other country is doing well. The number one goal should be the United States of America, period, end story. And it's amazing to me how many of our billions in money go over to other countries, and that becomes a priority above everything else. You got to be kidding me. That's getting really tiresome. This is Lauren Burke, and it is 8:38 a.m. And in about 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about Eric Swalwell and the California governor's race. I invite everybody into that discussion. I'm going to end this one and then start that one. It's been quite a weekend, and quite a last 3 days in the California governor's race. At any rate, everybody find the cheapest gas station that you can find. It's hard to do, but it's possible. It is 8:39 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States of America. We will be back in about a few minutes to talk about Eric Swalwell. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Friend Zone, Damon, Mike, We Unlock Nation. We Unlock Nation. I want to thank everybody in the chat, and thanks for the comments. Whether I agree or not, we love the comments. So we will be back in a few seconds. I'm just going to run the close here, and I'll be back.